Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Lion's Den. This is the Weekly Roar. Welcome back, everyone. It's great to have you here today for the next lesson learned in leadership, another mentoring moment. Today's lesson is about dealing with the haters, those people that all they can do is just criticize everything we do. In leadership, when you're at the head of the pack, you become prone to criticism, and not everyone handles it the same way. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second. But first, I'm Greg Storch. I'm the owner of Lion Enterprise, host of the Weekly Roar, and the founder of a worldwide bartered coaching program called The Helping Hand. I'm a certified professional leadership coach and a certified leadership speaker and trainer. Last week, we continued with my newest leadership series called Mentoring Moments in Leadership, and we continued with a lesson about the importance of those critical decisions that we make at critical times that end up becoming our defining moments. And I also shared a few reasons why I think defining moments are important to us. Afterwards, some of you took to the Lion's Den Facebook page and continued the discussion on the Conversation Corner posts. I love hearing you share about your own defining moments. So thanks for posting there and sharing your own defining moments. The Conversation Corner is a new thing I added to help us continue the dialogue each week following the Weekly Roar. I hope you guys are going to continue to check in and respond to it so we can all benefit from what you have to say. Now, if you weren't able to join us last Wednesday for the Weekly Roar, or if you need to catch up on the series, or you just want to watch that session over again, you can access all of my free video resources on my website at lion-enterprise.com. Click on the Lion's Pride Library menu and find video number 127 for last week. While you're in the Lion's Pride Library, make sure you look around and stay a while. It's a free resource, and it is a great way for you to get more of the roar. All right, everyone, let's jump right into today's topic that I'm calling Haters Gonna Hate. Today, I want to speak with you about one of the harsher realities of always being out in front, always being the leader, and it's that we're always being watched. When you're in the lead, you attract attention, and sometimes that attention will come in the form of criticism. How many of you have ever watched a horse race like the Kentucky Derby or the Belmont Stakes? Well, when I lived in Northern Virginia, I was invited to attend the Preakness, and that's one of the 3 premier horse races that make up the Triple Crown. It was the first time that I had ever attended a horse race. It was pretty exciting, actually, and even though I wasn't very good at picking the winners, I had a great time. But race after race, as the gate lifted and the horses shot out onto the track, the binoculars went up to everyone's eyes as they followed the front runners around the track. Everyone's attention was on that horse out in front leading the pack. Well, that's pretty typical. I'd say it's human nature, really, for us to pay closer attention to those out in front. I don't know many people who spend their time watching the ones who aren't even in the picture, right? Here's my point. I'm pretty sure you all have heard of the name Usain Bolt, right? Of course you have. He's the 100-meter gold medalist and world record holder from the 2008 Olympics. But have you ever heard of Darvis Patton? I'd be willing to bet not many of you have. Well, Darvis was the guy who came in last that day. Still fast as hell, but he wasn't the front runner. See, No one ever pays attention to the racers who are out of contention. Well, that's the way it is for leaders too. When you're out in front, there's always someone standing by watching you, just waiting to take a stab. It doesn't matter how you choose to live your life, whether you build a business or work a corporate job, if you have kids or you choose not to have kids. Maybe you travel the world, or maybe you live in the same town you've lived in all your life. What about the people that go to the gym 5 days a week, or those who just sit on the couch every night? Whatever it is we do, someone will always be there to criticize us for it. And I know none of us really enjoy getting criticized. I know I don't. It feels good being right. Just ask my wife. And when someone points out to us how we aren't right, it can sting a little bit. Being criticized can be discouraging too. But the thing is, we all need criticism. Although we're generally drawn to like-minded people, the ones who disagree with us are really the ones who help us grow. The ones who call us out, point out our weaknesses and flaws. Yes, the ones who challenge us, make us better. Nobody likes being told that they suck, but that's how most of us feel when we receive criticism. However, not all of us deal with criticism the same way. Some people know it's not personal, and some people get very defensive about it. And there are some people who internalize criticism. On the surface, it appears that they can take criticism just fine, but internally, they're beating themselves up. You probably know a few people who tend to mentally put themselves down or are overly hard on themselves. Those are the internalizers. And then we have those who have to defend against the criticism. It's pretty common to see this because it's natural for us to want to defend ourselves against outside threats, and that includes criticism. People who defend against criticism, well, they actually tend to do it in a more mild way. They don't lose sleep over it or argue the point with someone else. No, typically a defender will just think to themselves that the person criticizing them is just a little misguided and are fine to leave it just like that. Regardless of how you deal with it, one thing is absolutely sure, and that is if you're a leader, you will have to deal with negativity and criticism. And I love this topic because even if you aren't in a leadership position right now, what I'm sharing today can help you get better handling criticism constructively, no matter where it's coming from in your life. So I want to share 4 things that you can do to help hold up and do better when it comes to dealing with criticism. So let's start off with this one, and that is you have to know yourself. So you need to make sure that you have a realistic view of who you are. When we're able to do that, it helps us to be able to separate the criticism between ourselves and the position we hold. A lot of times, the criticism we receive as leaders isn't about us personally, it's about the position we're holding. When we have a realistic view of who we really are, then we have a better chance to understand the difference between the two and which one of them is the thing that's drawing the criticism. And that can also help us not take things personally, especially when the criticism really is about the position we're holding. So right now, you might be asking yourself, well, what if the criticism I'm receiving isn't about my position and it is about me? Well, first of all, that's a great question to ask. I offer this answer for you to think about and hopefully gain a new perspective. And that is, whenever you're being criticized as the leader and not as the position you hold, understand that the critics are offering you a very valuable service. What they're doing is they're helping you to know yourself better. Listen, sometimes what we want to hear least is what we need to hear the most. I've been criticized plenty of times throughout my leadership journey, and when it's been a personal criticism, it's allowed me to understand a few things about myself. I mean, I've learned that I'm impatient. I make a lot of assumptions, and you know what that can lead to. And when it comes to rules, I can get pretty rigid. Yes, I'm a rule follower. Now, I may not have discovered those things about myself in my leadership role had somebody not provided criticism of those things earlier on. I know they're not very flattering, but the reality is that they are weaknesses I have, and having a more realistic view of myself is going to help me deal better with criticism. Okay, the second thing that I want to share with you that will help you deal with criticism might seem a little simplistic and maybe obvious, but I'll tell you that you have to take action. Here's what I mean. When we receive criticism that is correct, that's accurate, we then have a responsibility to do something about it. That's what good leaders do. People can change for the better when they are open to improving themselves. We do that when we can respond correctly to people's criticism, admitting to our shortcomings, and then taking action to make the necessary changes to get better. I think we all might tend to react to criticism sort of the same way at first. Sometimes we get hurt by it, and many times we probably get angry. But once the anger dies down, that's a great time to think more about the criticism to determine if it's positive or negative. You probably have heard that as constructive criticism or destructive criticism. One way to determine that is to go through a few quick questions that will answer the who, how, and why. So, who criticized me? Because the source of the criticism definitely matters. And then, how was it given? Were they coming from a place of judgment, or were they giving you the benefit of the doubt? And then, why was the criticism given? Was it hurtful or was it helpful? Our attitude towards the criticism is a big determining factor on whether we grow from it or shrink by it. We can make positive changes in our own lives when we remain open to improving. So when we're criticized, we can foster a better attitude about it by not getting defensive, looking to find any truth in it, making necessary changes when the critics correctly identify a weakness, and always take the high road. When we do these things, when it comes to dealing with criticism, we are sure to learn things about ourselves, grow and improve in our leadership, and even preserve the relationships we have with others. Make sense? All right, so remember, we have to take action to change ourselves. And as a leader, it's our responsibility to do just that. The third thing that you can do that's going to help you deal with criticism is accept yourself. Just be yourself. When you know who you are and you can be your true self, it allows you to be the best leader and the best person that you can be. Now, accepting yourself does not mean staying the same all the time. Being yourself also means that you're still willing to grow and change too. It means that you always work at being the best you can be. Being who we really are is how we become better than who we are right now. Accepting yourself shows a sign of maturity. You don't worry about others' opinions. If you worry about what other people think about you, it's because you have more confidence in their opinion than you have of your own. Real confidence in ourselves and our leadership comes from knowing and accepting ourselves without the reliance on the affirmation of others. And that brings me to the last thing. And since we spent the last 3 steps focused on ourselves, this fourth one might be a little counterintuitive. I know, I just got done telling you how you need to focus on yourself, how you should know yourself and change yourself and accept yourself if you want to handle criticism better. But now that we made it through that, the fourth thing I'm going to tell you is to shift your focus away from yourself. That's right. Try to forget about yourself. If you want to effectively handle criticism, you're going to have to stop focusing on yourself. I have to tell you, if you do this, you have to be really secure with yourself. See, secure people can shift their focus off of themselves in order to focus on others. And when we can do that, we can face just about any kind of criticism we get. Being secure in who we are and focusing on others will give us the strength to take the high road with people. And while we must take our responsibilities as leaders seriously, we have to be careful not to take ourselves too seriously. So forget about focusing solely on yourself and value others regardless of their opinion of you. Remember, what other people think of you is none of your business. All right, so there we have it. One of the things we have to put up with when we're out in front, leading the pack, is the scrutiny and criticism of others. Consider it one of the prices you're going to have to pay if you want to lead. How do you know you're out in front? Well, if you're getting kicked in the butt, then you know you're out in front. At least now you have a process that will help you handle that criticism much better, hopefully. Maybe the criticism is warranted. Maybe it isn't. But walking through these 4 steps that I shared will help you evaluate that for yourself, and it will help you hold up and deal with criticism. The next time you face criticism, remember that it will be important to know your true self. Is it time for you to make a reality check? Knowing yourself will help you avoid taking the criticism personally. And when a criticism warrants it, when a potential weakness is brought to your attention, make the changes necessary to correct that deficiency. It's our responsibility to act on it. If you work on getting to know yourself and you make the necessary changes to keep growing, then the next thing to do is be mature and just accept yourself. To be the best person and leader you can be, just be yourself. And once you've gone through all of that, remember, shift your focus away from you and more towards others. That's right. Forget about yourself. Being secure in who you are will allow you to take the high road with people. I encourage you to try hard to not worry about what others think of you. We spend way too much of our time concerned about other people's opinions of us. But the older I get, the more I see that, honestly, nobody's really giving it much thought. You do you. Let me share this encouraging quote from one of my all-time favorite motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar. He said, "Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you." I love it. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today. And I want to remind you to go back into the Lion's Den page and keep the dialogue going on this topic in the Conversation Corner post. It's already up there waiting for you to react. It's intended to keep this dialogue going with each other so you can hear more from others about today's topic. Let's keep this discussion flowing. If you want to keep running to the roar, then join me next week as I share another lesson learned in leadership. This next lesson learned in leadership is something near and dear to my heart. Want to find out what that lesson is? All you have to do is come on back to the Lion's Den next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody, for supporting me and watching the Weekly Roar today. I appreciate the comments here so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until we meet again next Wednesday, remember, be powerful, but stay poised just like a lion. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.